Jai Bhim, Jai Mulnivasi, Jai Savidhan, Jai Bharat. Once again, welcome you all to MNT News Network. Today is Sunday, and as all of you know, every Sunday we are organizing special sessions in English. And today also we are going to discuss a very important topic. And as all of you know, uh, the situations in India is continuously changing, and for the last so many years, there is very much development in the socio-political scenario of India. So today we are going to discuss the topic, the situation of the indigenous people, the Mulnivasi Bahujans in present India in today, and what is the thinking of the intellectual class or the educated class? What do they think as far as the socio-political movement of indigenous people are considered. And today we had with us Mulnivasi Dr. Vinod Arya sir, who is heading the Department of Sociology in Central University of Punjab, Bhatinda, and he will be discussing with us on this important topic. So be there. This video is live on all social media. So just share the link of this studio, link of this particular video to entire social media, so that the important discussion can be passed on to the majority of the people, because the particularly the role of intellectual class is what that matters in any socio-political movement. So this is a very important topic, and I request all of you to share this link in the entire social media, so that maximum people can participate in this discussion. So without wasting more time, I would like to invite Dr. Vinod Arya sir to this studio. Sir, Jai Bhim, Jai Mulya sir, and welcome to MNT News
Jai
Network.
Bhim, Jai Mulnivasi, Jai Savidhan, Jai Bharat. To all the viewers of MNT News Network, especially Ashish Jeevne ji, who also contribute to this ongoing struggle, and all our fraternity members who actually participate in this struggle which we are going through. So Jai Bhim, Jai Mulnivasi to all of them.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. So basically, as far as this topic is considered, we want to discuss about the developments that are happening for the last 2 decades, we can say, or last 15 to 20 years. After the Mandal Commission era, there is much more development in the socio-political movement of India. And as far as the last 10 years of politics is considered, there is much more development, and much more policies are changing, overall developments are considered after the so many changes in politics for the last 10 years, and the even the educational movement, even the educational front or health front, or the what are the basic needs of the indigenous peoples are there that are hampered. That is what we can see. So for the last 10 years, whatever changes are happening, how do you see what is the present socio-political and economic situation of these indigenous people of India from current perspective point of view, or whatever developments has been happened, sir?
Okay, Ashish ji, before I begin to deal or actually try to analyze my understanding on this issue, I'll start with the one thing that earlier I was heading the Department of Sociology here at Central University of Punjab, and right now I am a faculty member. The second point is that whatever I am going to say is actually my personal opinion, and it's based upon my understanding, my reading, and my research work. That is also important. And now to begin or engage with the topic is itself is that I have a kind of proposition which we all viewers can take up. And this proposition is whatever way or with the perspective we want to look upon the situation, we will find the same results. Like if we want to see this situation of Mulnivasi Bahujan in a, let us say, in a negative framework, that we have lost, we have not secured things, we have actually lost the political dominance in that way, or this is one way to understand. So we will find the results in that way. The second way is in a positive, constructive way, we can also understand the situation. So it will depend on our perspective, what perspective we choose to look upon. Second important point is I'm not going to engage or analyze data based things today, because for our viewers, I think we are already convinced with the data and factual situation. So I'm going more into the narrative framework or kind of constructive framework, which we can use as let us say in narration way or narrative way, because that has become more important. Now, coming to the point, as you have highlighted, that what has become in the last, let us say, 1 or 2 decades, the significance impact. Now, this has two dimensions, I think. First one is if somebody looks at the political landscape, what has been happened in these 2 decades. And the second one, which is also very important, is the emergence and evolution of new social media. These two factors have actually been very governing in the sense the whole society, that it needs to be further analyzed and interpreted, especially by the Mulnivasi Bahujan intellectuals and activists. Now, coming to the point, and let us see the overall view. So, yes, everyone will be convinced that we can find a kind of atmosphere or the social situation or socio-political and economic situation where a particular ideology, and I'll say right-wing ideology, has actually been into the framework leading the mainstream politics. But we need to look behind that. It has been the contribution of their activists which has been continuous for leading towards such kind of dominance by this right wing parties, not only in India, but we can see that phenomena in even the international scenario. Now, second is that the socio-political environment has also increased the apprehensions about the erosion of the democratic rights and freedoms, particularly which belongs to marginalized communities. Now, going to the economic situation, we have seen with the neoliberal era that the privatization has enlarged its wings, and then in that way the state has actually shake hands with the market, and civil society has been relegated to the periphery. Now, in such scenario, the welfare stage and the expectations which a marginal section can have, including the backwards, which I call as scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, other backward classes, and the converted minorities, as visualized by the intellectuals of this particular ideological stream, and I am here referring to the Fuller Ambedkarite ideology, which has been carried forward by Bamsev and its offshoot wings also. So, Ashish ji, I think such a period, such a crisis period is very important for the intellectual itself and for other masses also. That crisis always has been fruitful in the sense to change the situation where people can actually make their own stance. Where do they stand? So this is very important for the Mool Nivasi Bahujan intellectuals in such a crisis position, that where do they stand? And this has been for others also. Like, even if we'll see right wing, and that has not been always in politics, and it's not going to be continuous also. Change is eternal, so it will also change. But where do these intellectuals have stood, where activists have stood during the time of crisis? This becomes very, very much important for us. Now, in this way, we can see a framework has been already analyzed by a book by Professor Vivek Kumar, that is in Dalit Leadership in India, published in 2002. And it talks very clearly, and this is, I think, very significant point for all of us to understand, that there are two kinds of leadership. And when we are referring to this Mulnivasi Bahujan, either leadership in the sense of political, academic, or activism, whatever we can say. So one is the dependent leadership, and another one is independent leadership. Now, time and across the history, we can see that the dependent leadership is nowhere going to be fruitful for the society, for the community itself. Mool Nivasi Bahujan, that can be, the dependent politics can only facilitate, can only actually benefit the individual. Now, here the stance of the Mool Nivasi Bahujan intellectuals become important, that some of them confine themselves to their individualism, and this individualism includes themselves and maybe their family members, the limited family members. That is the point up to where actually they start living the life and doing their works. Maybe it is just confined to their publication work, their teaching work, and the personal growth. including making the or bringing the facilities for the family members. But my dear friends, we can see that there are many other people belonging to these intellectual classes who understand that our individualism only exists in terms of the community or societal identities. If others will not be there, we cannot be there. Now, this has been, we can find both kind of people, both kind of intellectuals. So I focus more upon not those people, those who are not actually contributing and doing anything for this society. Rather, I actually positively try to focus upon those people who are in maybe few in numbers. That is also assumption. They are not few. Let me clearly state this also. But we have to focus upon them. Now they understand that we as individuals, but with the social identity of this community, which has a marginal background, have lot of responsibility to pay back to the society. So that becomes in such a scenario very important. Moreover, one another important point is that our people are very let me say still very simple. They are naive, and they have to identify, because this space of marginal sections or Mulnivasi Bahujan intellectuals is also occupied by some people who falsify or they project that. And we can remember which I want to make here, that one media reporter was considered to be our voice, which has been the national reporter. Now he has again back not into the mainstream, but he's running some YouTube videos or so. Another one was, the example was one of the student leader from one of the central universities was considered that they are actually talking about us, or they are discussing our issues, and our people actually start following them. They enjoy it. But we have to be very careful that why they are talking. I'm not saying they cannot talk, they can, but we have our responsibility to find out why they are talking and where it will lead to. So you will find in the two cases which I discussed, that the media reported got the reputation, and the second person got the reputation, individual reputation, and it has not actually contributed to our causes. So we need to identify such people who portray to be our leaders and they are not, and then we need to identify those independent leaders who actually can go further with our own agenda, with our own flag, with our own language, with our own causes and reasons. This becomes very important.
Right, sir. So very well, you had elaborated on the overall development that are happening and the role that intellectual class is playing. So as far as the today's scenario is considered and the developments that are considered, basically two ways of developments are going on. One way is by the so-called upper caste or 15% people who are continuously they want to rule the country, and they are propagating the views, are creating the issues in the society, so that people should think in that particular on that particular topic, and not the important their important rights or their important developments that are required for the individuals. So as far as the Mulnivasi intellectuals are considered, they also get trapped in such type of issues which are created in the society, and instead of guiding instead of creating the mandate of the people for their basic rights, they also fall trap in such situations. So in this particular situation, how do you think that how they should analyze the particular issues that are being developed in the society, and what can be the basic reasons behind creating such issues, and diverting the basic requirements of the basic requirements of the people, indigenous people specifically, as far as the education is considered. Now we can see that so many developments are happening in education field, and the intellectual class or the people from Mulnivasi people are denied the educational basic rights or the health rights. So many things are happening. So in such scenarios, how this intellectual class, Mulnivasi intellectual class, should act as far as scenario is considered, sir?
I think you have touched upon a very important and significant issue, Ashishji, and that is, I must congratulate the whole team of MNT and you that they actually get the real call. So here, as we can see, as you have also indicated, that there can be two ways to respond to a particular situation. Either it is in our favor, or if it is against, then it becomes more important. And that one is, uh, and I urge also in this way to our intellectuals, either belonging to any field, that, and here I'm not referring only to intellectuals in the sense who are only literary class. No, for me, it's also important that knowledge has to be also combined with the wisdom. So nowhere literacy is related to leadership or intellectualism. That is my argument. It can come from wisdom, that is experiences. So it has to combine both the activism and maybe literature also then. So these two have to be combined. Here we make a hierarchy that only people who have studied books or have degrees, or they can be only intellectuals. I seriously do not belong to such argument, and I think knowledge as well as wisdom is also important, which makes us all equal, and we can stand equal with the let us say, a professor can stand equal with the activist. That is the argument which makes further egalitarian our society. Now, the way to respond can be, one is to react, and another one is to draw your own larger, bigger line to make the existing line smaller, as has been highlighted or argued by Manevar Kanshiramji. Now, in this way, agenda setting becomes important rather than only critiquing upon the present situation or reacting on the present situation. That something happened, some issue happened, and all are actually all come together to comment on that, react on that. And in this way, you will find some of the intellectuals who have gained, and why I was referring to this utilization of new media, that becomes important, because now everyone can contribute to the media itself. So people, some of the people from this intellectual class, Mulnivasi Bahujans intellectual class, have started contributing their part on this media, and this is important. But what they are doing, they are actually critiquing upon the present situation or reacting to it, rather than actually setting the agenda for the later period. For example, I have one book again, because he is my teacher and mentor, so his examples also come again and again. Professor Vivek Kumar has written another text on Dalit Agenda 2050. Let me show the copy to you, and this is kind of reflection on that. That what shall be our agenda in 2050. We need to sit down and think. And this way, I think, Ashishji, we will be able to be or prove ourselves as real reflecting human beings, because reactions are also made by other living organism, and here I am saying to the animals. So we are different from them. We are a higher, superior, let me say, species, and belonging to Mool Nivasi Bahujan, which has a history of bonding with the land, history of bonding with this culture which has been here, and we can understand better what is the situation in this particular, because region, time, and space is very important. So we can understand, and we can bring out the actual potential leadership which can solve the problems of this particular nation which we call as India. That is very important. And in this way, how our intellectuals can further go is that, or they are doing itself. I'm not saying that, I can only suggest, and maybe sometimes I also get trapped, and we need to admit this. Fine, maybe sometimes I also become individualistic, but then again and again, this call has to be there that we need to pay back to the society. So anyone can get into the trap. But what our intellectuals are doing, let me try to highlight some of the key aspects of it. First, our intellectuals are developing the inclusive framework in a theoretical sense, and this starts from the Phule Ambedkarite lineage or ideology, which is continuing by our so-called the literary class and the activists. They are doing it. So I want to actually stand against that argument somewhere here, which has been, I think, misrepresented again and again, or misquoted again and again, that the the educated class has not actually responded, or they have betrayed this Mool Nivasi. I want to stand against that. And if we will see, if at all there is a national movement from Mulnivasi Bahujans in Bharat or India, and that is from these intellectuals only, which is being represented either in literacy or in bureaucracy or in academia. This is there. So that is one which we need to reinterpret, that intellectuals are actually working for Mulnivasi Bahujan society. Second is after inclusive framework, which is in theoretical sense, not only empirically, and we have a long list of people which we can identify here. Second is we are also reclaiming our identities and narratives, and I significantly underline the work of Bamsev and its leadership into that, how we brought out our own icons, our own ideologues, and they have been established belonging to all of these communities. That is not only scheduled caste, but scheduled all the backwards, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, other backward classes, and very significantly the converted minorities, so that this reflection of majority, which is in a religious way represented by those people who belong to right wing, but actually the majority is in that way of social situations, their social status, which is based upon their ritual status, which has been ascribed to them by few, that is by minority. So that is also being done gradually, and in this way we are claiming our identity and narratives or reconstructing them. And here becomes again the importance of new media or social media, very important, where we have seen and we are doing this exercise, and we know that many other people also do these exercises of bringing their arguments for the public while sitting very far away from each other, and then discussing and bringing up these discussions publicly. Second one or third one I'll say is that the multi-dimensional analysis which is going on by these intellectuals, and including those which have with literacy or with experience, and that is and trying to understand how caste, which is the this society is actually the caste-based society, is also interacting with other identities in terms of, or other institutions belonging to maybe class, gender, religion, and others. So this is where the multidimensional analysis is also going on. Then the grassroots mobilization is also being executed by the Bahujan intellectuals or Mulnivasi intellectuals. Then advocacy for policy changes is continuously going on. New types of coalition building is also into this strategy of our people, our intellectuals, which is also going on. Then and for example, I can state that last year that Makam has actually made a coalition between several associations, and these were around 30, and they have made a kind of national agenda. They joined themselves together for a few of the objective, four or five, which are actually pertaining to this Mulnivasi Bahujans. Then we can also look into the educational initiatives and awareness campaigns which are also going on, and this includes the curriculum development by the representatives with consciousness belonging to these Mool Nivasi Bahujan intellectuals. They are including Baba Sahab Ambedkar, they are including Chhatrapati Shahuji, they are including Periyar. So in this way, they are including Birsa Munda. So all these ideologues and are not only being kept in political activism, but they are also being included into the curriculum or the syllabus. Then by the way of organizing various birth anniversaries, death anniversaries, and other significant days, the public awareness is also being actually campaigned. Then doing the mentorship and capacity building is also where we can include the entrepreneurial aspect. And I have seen in many cases on online how actually those people who have settled abroad or have or were able to secure admissions into the international universities, they help actually our people here to come there and join. So in this way, we can see that mentorship is also going on. Media representation, or let us go to now the cultural transformation, how our Bahujan intellectuals are also contributing to it. So they are promoting a kind of culture which is more inclusive in nature, with the actually stereotype. They are challenging those stereotypes which have been there in literature, art, or media representation, and now we are bringing with our own understanding on these. So we are changing from being a subject, now we are becoming an agency. That is very important, that how do we understand ourselves, this community, and our movement. Then our intellectuals are also supporting the Bahujan art and literature, which we can see in various domains. Then media representation, not only that these kind of discussions are going on, but we can also see that our people, like one of the name I know and is my friend, Dr. Gaurav Patania, he has also been into the lead role of Baba Sahab Ambedkar's movie, which has been actually made in United States of America there. So then if we'll go to research and documentation, we'll see that different empirical research have been or are being conducted by our people, that is intellectuals, the documentations of struggles and successes which have been actually into oral histories are also being brought into the policy level analysis, is also being conducted, where the tribal leadership or how we are actually influencing the political discourse, and we are also able to hold the authorities accountable. Let us review back where were we, if we will see these communities were referred when we got independence, who were talking about us, were we having any say, or it has increased now. Let us see, even our opponents have to, which seems very liberal, they are forced to take our agendas and they have to speak over it. Now they are flagging the copy of constitution, or they are actually bowing down in front of the constitution. This is more of symbolic, let us understand this also, but still they are forced to do so. So see the power of this majority, which have their own agenda, which have their causes, and it has to be. Earlier no one was doing that. They were just considering as a subject of, okay, let us give them representation or in the way of reservation, or let us include them. But now you see that force by this all work which has been done. We cannot deny that the intellectuals, the activists, and all those people who have contributed to this movement, that is Mulnivasi Bahujan movement, they have strengthened it in that way that now our opponents are thinking a negative policy, that how to stop them to get into included into institution. So somewhere this highlights that we are able to firmly stand and actually deliver, and this is where they are now orienting towards stopping us to be included in the institution, because they are not able to, let me say, or they are facing challenges with our assertions. So they, in that way, they are stopping us, trying to stop us, and then they are also trying to hijack our agendas. But I think that will not be possible. I was again discussing this issue with one of my colleagues, Dinesh. He teaches English literature, and he was saying that the Mulnivasi intellectuals, very significant point I found, are always under a lot of, let us say, not pressure or opportunities in that way, that they have to prove every time. And here when I'm referring to those Mulnivasi Bahujan intellectuals who are actually contributing to the social causes. So they are always, they need to perform themselves in the institutions, then they need to perform in the payback to the society also. So in this way they are continuously developing and are actually contributing.
Right, sir. Right, sir. So basically, whatever you had elaborated, from that we can see that the whatever role has been played by the activists or the people who had devoted their time and talent in running the social or political movement, it has created a wave in the society, and that has impacted even the our opponents also. How important you see the role of more and more thinking people or intellectual people, if they are contributing more in this socio-political movement, how it can create a revolution in coming days?
Well, again, this is very important. I think, Ashishji, what we can discuss, can actually together we can bring, is that we need to critically reflect upon the past strategies. One point is that also, which I need to highlight here, when we say past strategies, our people try to make a space only within this confined history of Mulnivasi Bahujan intellectuals. Like a political party is established, which has contributed in the past. So again, a new party is coming that will start by critiquing the previous work, which is not required. Actually, we need to change the framework. Let us acknowledge whatever has been done in the past by our predecessors in terms of ideological work, in terms of political work, in terms of academic work. We need to acknowledge that, and we need to rebuild on based upon that. But here we will find, like, you will find one individual who is now, who has made another political party and is trying to claim, and then others do come in and they start comparing these. One national leader, they start comparing this with very emerging person. So see the negative framework, that nowhere they are comparable. Whatever has been done, they have contributed in the past in whatever way. That has been the assertion. We cannot deny it, and it led towards making our own chief minister 4 or 5 times in a very popular state. So we need to acknowledge, and based upon that acknowledgement, we need to rebuild the future. This is very important, rather than only by critiquing that this has been not been done by these political party or intellectuals. We have to change this strategy, and then we need to evolve new strategies in terms of, let us see how actually the virtual world is becoming important. And we can see easily that our people, our elderlies, our activists, they are if engaged with face to face also, they also actually grasp many understanding from the social media, from the reels. So this becomes also important, where we need to rethink in terms of artificial intelligence, which is also day by day actually becoming more and more public. Now we can speak and it can typewrite. Now we can give the content and it can make a video. Now and most importantly, people don't have the patience now. They want even videos should be very small, very shorter in terms of reels or few seconds of that. So we need to consider or actually take into concern all these changes which are going on. Then further we need to actually put upon more political and social pressures. In that way we can contribute further, and we need to navigate how we will do that. In this way we need to also understand that we have resource constraints. Very few people in this way, or very few resources we have, and we should actually make the utilization optimum out of that. Then the continued activism and advocacy is also required, where we need to again highlight the ongoing efforts, and then we need to find out new ways of engagement in that way. And when I am saying new ways of engagement, here I am bringing two important points. We have to deconstruct this hierarchy that literate people only can understand. This has to be mixed with the wisdom of activism. So both have to contribute, both have to facilitate each other. Second one is, very importantly, we are doing it, but further we can further explore that how better more we can do that is the use of this new social media and artificial intelligence also, and then actually setting our agenda and then popularizing it, and then actually mobilizing our people for our own demands.
Sorry. Right, sir. Very well elaborated, and actually, we are almost towards the end of the session. So, I would like to get your message for our today's intellectual class, or the people who are involved in running the socio-political movements, and they are giving their time, talent, and resources. What message you would like to pass on to them as far as the current scenario is considered, and the upcoming challenges that may come up in coming future, sir?
Okay, so challenges are already known when the oppositions are kind of seeming that they are dominating, but we have witnessed that how that is also now on the downfall, which we have seen in the last Lok Sabha election. So that is happening. I think what, as a being very humble member of this whole movement, and I find myself fortunate and content also when I am able to contribute to it, is that, friends, we should follow independent leadership, or we should try to become independent in that way that we do not have to speak the language of the ala kamal, which has their own agenda. Okay, and in this way we have to take our own flags, we have to construct our own agenda, which is abstract in nature, not only addressing the present situation, but also actually addressing the future situations also. Like our intellectuals also need to bring this into public domain. It is there in intellectual domain, we can see, like the future of resources, sustainable development, what kind of resources our Mulnivasi Bahujans will have in maybe in 2050 or 2060, who will occupy them maybe. And we all know that the few individuals are actually gaining more and more control over them. So in that situation, what will be our response? It can be one way. Then the other can be again to think in this line that our people will question our contributions in future, and those will not be named, those will not be recalled, who are actually doing only work for their individual causes or only for their family. Those will be revered, those people will be revered, their names will be taken, who understand this: I belong to this particular community and I have a sense of responsibility, looking at the history where people have contributed, like Baba Sahib Ambedkar, why he has a kind of overall or pan India, even pan international acceptance. And that does not belong to any subcaste, which people try to portray. And people have that acceptance. So that was due to the works, or with the works which have influenced our lives, and people understand this. And in this way, I think the future generations will also take account of our works. And if you have not done, or if we have not done, they will actually question us, they will analyze, and then they will write the further history of the future also. And I think in this line this becomes very much important, not to remain self-centric and individualistic, but to play a role in the future. Like Dr. Schultz is there, one of the philosopher. He talks about that history, present, and future. These three spheres are connected. We cannot only live in the present. Then we need to acknowledge whatever contribution in terms of positive, constructive contribution has been made by our ancestors. We need to acknowledge and rebuild our future based upon that, with actually actively making changes into the present itself. So that can also be done by insights, that can be done by further reading. I have found, if we can find few of the people who surrender themselves in a situation like, now I got a job, now I have some kind of facilities or amenities, and that is sufficient. But we have also seen those people who never get satisfied with all these amenities and all, because they have this question always, that what further I can do or we can do, and that can be done only together. So we need to project, this is the real minority majority which is here, and who is the real minority in this country, that is not based upon one aspect, that is religion, that has to be constructed on the basis of social situation, social status. And then if we will be able to understand this, we'll be able to contribute to the future of this Mulnivasi Bahujan community.
Right, sir. Very well elaborated, sir, and you had nicely given the message that the intellectual class should think upon, and what they should do and what they should not do. And also, you had highlighted the overall developments that has been happened after the Fully Ambedkar Shahu movement, and the role the intellectual class had passed on. And definitely it had created a wave in the society. And if this momentum continues, definitely the future also will be bright, and the future will also be in their own thinking or own hand. So thank you very much for joining today, and yeah, and giving your valuable views on today's topic. And again, we will invite you in upcoming future discussions, and you will enlighten our viewers on different topics. Thank you very much, sir, for joining today. Jai Bhim, Jai
Thank you,
Mulnivasi,
sir.
Jai
Thank you.
Samvidan.
Jai Bhim, Jai Mulnivasi, Jai Samvidhan, Jai Bharat to all our viewers. Thank you so much, sir.
So it was Dr. Vinod Arya sir who had elaborated on the that are things that are happening for the last 2 decades, and what the role the intellectual class should play in understanding the situations, and creating the views or creating the issues which can be favorable to the society and which can create a mandate in the society. Because if mandate is there, definitely whosoever political party is ruling, it has to go to the mandate of the people. So definitely, it is not that everything has been given up, or nothing can happen. Everything is there, and it will depend on the role of the intellectual class that will play within the society in running the socio-political movement, and definitely that will create a positive wave in the society. So thank you very much for joining today and listening to this important topic. And I hope you will definitely pass on the link of this particular video in the entire social media, so that this particular important information is passed on to all the people of Mulnivasi Bahujans Society, and they will definitely get a different angle, and they will definitely get some guidance from this particular discussion, and they will accordingly act, and they will create the socio-political movement in right direction. Thank you very much for joining today. Jai Bhim, Jai Mulnivasi, Jai Samvidhan, Jai Bharat.